Well, I would like to introduce to you Mr. Steve and Zach Hughes with Gnus. Y'all give them a big hand. Keep talking.
What do you call a cow with no legs? How much did the deer pay for his antlers?
You better come up with some better jokes than that. I mean, they already know all the punchlines.
How much did the pirate pay for his earrings?
I don't know what. About
a buccaneer.
A buck and ear. Okay. I don't know what's going on with our backstage group. We're having a. Okay, it's coming together. I see it now, y'all. Hey, I got that tie in my closet, Steve. Honey, did you give Steve my tie? I promise. I got that. News anchor, are you okay? I think you're going to need.
You ever seen a flat screen with bunny
ears?
ears?
A microphone. Steve, yeah, there you go. Hey, that one. Okay. Y'all give them a big hand.
Good evening, and welcome to Gnus, where the news about whose shoes were left in the crew's canoes will only tend to confuse.
Gnus, where the woodchucks get stuck serving duck at potlucks. I'm Winter Crabapple.
And I'm Chucker Ponscum.
And this is the Gnus.
We turn first to Bible Gnus. Silas and Timothy spent hours looking for the Apostle Paul in Athens. They eventually found him wandering the Romans road.
At a dinner party gone awry, the appetizer for Emperor Claudius went missing. To this day, no one knows what happened to Caesar's salad.
King David is feeling a bit creeped out after learning of the 3 women that have been stalking him for years. Writing about it in Psalm 23, he says, "Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life."
Moses and Joseph were scheduled to play tennis with the Pharaoh. However, only Joseph showed up for the match. Apparently, Moses refuses to serve in Pharaoh's court.
Next up, we have international Gnus. A wedding was held earlier this afternoon between the Prince of Florin and one of his subjects, a young girl named Buttercup. Apparently, marriage is what brings them together today.
In Canada, the abominable snowman was seen in the front yard of a local residence. When scientists investigated the report, they saw an actual snowman sporting a six-pack. The incident is written off as a sighting of the abdominal snowman.
Egyptian Airlines Flight 911, a veterinary transfer flight, encountered an emergency situation where the cargo hatch came open over the Mediterranean Sea. Sources tell us that it started raining cats and dogs.
A recent survey shows a steep decline in the number of poker players in Algeria. One former gambler was quoted as saying, "There's just too many cheetahs."
Norway has recently started placing barcodes on the side of all their warships. Government officials tell us that when the ships return to port, they can Scandinavian.
If you haven't heard any good news yet, folks, It's unlikely you will hear any of the rest of this broadcast.
And now for local Gnus. A quick-tempered doctor was fired today. His coworker says he lost his patience.
A Mississippi Power line worker was found unhooking cables and reconnecting them in the power grid at random locations. When confronted by his boss, she asked him, "Why are you doing this?" Why?
Police reported the murder of a wealthy businessman. Some of his family have accused Mr. Green. His neighbor thinks it was done in the library with a candlestick, but so far, police don't have a clue.
Sabotage at Keesler Air Force Base, where they discover a sticky gelatinous substance covering their sensor array. We are told the coating has a strangely fruity scent. They are currently investigating who jammed their radar and gave them the raspberry.
A local bartender was having trouble with his internet browser. He just couldn't keep track of his tabs.
It's yours. It's yours.
Seriously, folks, if you are still listening to this broadcast, it says far more about you than it does us.
We're actually stuck in this job, but you chose to be here today. Next up is Church Gnus. Mr. Allen of Bel Air Baptist Church is making preparations to host Keith and Kristen Getty in concert this year. We wish him well in getting the Gettys.
Speaking of the Gettys, they recently purchased a massive chunk of ice floating in the North Atlantic. They plan to give a speech on the iceberg later this week, so stay tuned for more details on the Gettysburg Address.
And finally, a local pastor was outraged to hear the results of their annual cook-off. To this day, he insists that chicken and white beans do not a chili make.
That about wraps up the Gnus for today. Thank you all for listening to GNU Gnus, where ews and shoes chew pews to amuse.
GNU Gnus, where we redefine the storyline with Einstein and iodine. My name is Winter Crabapple.
And Trucker Pond Scum.
Good night.
night.